Good Saturday afternoon, everybody. NTV Chief Meteorologist Eddie Shear with you. This is your NL weather briefing for the afternoon of Saturday, October 18th, 2014, now just shy of 2 o'clock. I just want to give you the latest information on Hurricane Gonzalo. The hurricane did make landfall directly over Bermuda yesterday. The eye actually passed over the island as a Category 2 storm with wind speeds between 93 and 113 kilometers per hour. And that was around midnight local time in Bermuda and across the island between 9 p.m. and 10 p.m. Atlantic Daylight Time, which is between 9:30 and 10:30 Newfoundland Daylight Time. Now the storm is past Bermuda now and will continue moving toward Newfoundland today and will arrive just off the coast of the Avalon Peninsula very early Sunday morning. Environment Canada, out ahead of this, has issued tropical storm watches for the southwest, southeast Avalon, as well as St. John's, and also rainfall warnings are in place for the entire Avalon Peninsula as some fairly heavy rainfall is expected during the early morning hours of Sunday, winding down by about lunchtime. Talk all about this in the next couple of minutes. Latest stats on Gonzalo: Cat 1, wind speeds 150 kilometers per hour, gusting up to 185, really picking up movement now, kicking along 41 kilometers per hour, barometric pressure 966 millibars. And that is up from the 940s yesterday, and the storm is beginning to weaken and actually transition over from a hurricane to an extratropical cyclone, which is a normal area of low pressure, just a strong one, similar to something we see here in the winter. And that will still carry with it heavy rain and high winds. So regardless of what it is, when it goes by, the impacts will still pretty much be what they would be if it was a hurricane. That's what I'm trying to say. As far as the latest track goes, from 11 a.m. Atlantic Daylight Time from the National Hurricane Center, 11:30 Newfoundland time. Again, the cone of uncertainty there just grazing the Avalon Peninsula, so it looks like there is a decent chance of the storm actually passing offshore rather than onshore. Now, there is a chance, and I think a likelihood, that this track will be on the left-hand side of that cone, potentially over the extreme southeastern part of the Avalon Peninsula, down toward Cape Race or Cape Pine. So whether that happens remains to be seen or not. Even if it does, the hurricane-force winds do remain offshore, the rain will be onshore, and there will certainly be some gusty winds. As far as certainty goes with this forecast, here are the latest spaghetti model plots, and you can see why the Hurricane Center in Florida, or the National Hurricane Center, has shifted that track south and east, because each one of those lines represents a storm track for Gonzalo, and as you can see, not one of them is over the Avalon Peninsula. They are all offshore in some distance or another from the coast, so I am fairly certain we will not see that westerly track, but a track either offshore or very close to the east coast of the Avalon Peninsula. As far as wind speeds go, there we go. 0% chance of hurricane force winds onshore. There looks like there is roughly a 5 to 10% chance of 50 knot winds, or roughly 100 kilometers per hour across the extreme eastern Avalon Peninsula, including in St. John's. I think there is probably a bit of a higher chance than that, just based on what I know about the wind here. The low is going to be very strong going by, so even if some of those winds don't go onshore, just the low pressure of the low by itself will generate some winds probably close to 50 knots or 100 kilometers per hour, or close to that. So something we'll have to watch, sort of remains to be seen. And then tropical storm force winds across much of the Avalon Peninsula, greater than 30% chance. And keep in mind, tropical storm force winds are 39 miles per hour or 63 kilometers per hour. So I would give us a higher than 40% chance of seeing tropical storm force winds, but that's what the National Hurricane Center thinks. But again, I think that's probably like 100% chance of that actually happening. Now, as far as actual wind speeds go, what you're looking at here is the RGEM model at 6:30 tomorrow morning, and this model actually has the storm passing very close to the southeast part of the Avalon Peninsula, Cape Race, Cape Pine, and Trepassey area. And notice those higher wind speeds, those real dark colors, that's upwards of 50 to 60 knots. Well over, that's sustained nonetheless. Keep that in mind. Those do stay for the most part offshore. Now there is some of that red color near the east coast of the Avalon Peninsula, down toward the southern shore area. and that's around 40 to 50 knots, so that's sustained close to 100 kilometers per hour. I suspect many areas of the east side of the Avalon Peninsula will see wind speeds probably sustained between 70 and 80 kilometers per hour during the early morning hours of Sunday, as that's when it looks like this is going to sort of be at its peak here, with some gusts to 100 or 120 kilometers per hour, but the strongest gusts do remain offshore. Now, as we go into 9:30 Sunday morning, the storm is getting past us, the winds are calming down, and things are actually going to really get nice pretty quickly. I think around lunchtime tomorrow should be actually a very decent afternoon, a mix of sun and cloud, temperatures near 18 or 19 degrees. Something else to keep in mind, this is the GFDL model. This model has been the farthest west with the track all week long, finally did shift to the east. But as you can see here, the sustained winds, which are around 80 to 96 knots, do remain offshore. But if this low does take a track that looks to be sort of right near the southern shore area, there could be some fairly strong wind speeds across the northern and southern parts of the Avalon Peninsula. Notice some of those orange colors showing up right around the St. John's Metro, and that's, those are wind speeds sustained around 100 kilometers per hour. So it is certainly possible we do get a period tomorrow morning where wind speeds are sustained at 70 to 100 kilometers per hour with some higher gusts. But again, the real hurricane force winds do remain offshore. But even with winds like that, some isolated power outages certainly are a possibility. So we're not out of the woods just yet with this system, but luckily it's not going to take that westerly track, which would put the core of those highest wind speeds directly onshore. As far as rainfall goes, if you're looking at this map saying, where on earth is Newfoundland? It's on the eastern side of the map, or right side of the picture there, and you can see where it says YYT. That is St. John's. YQX is Gander, and YDF is Deer Lake. YJT is Stephenville, and YAY is the St. Anthony Airport. So that gives you an indication of where things are on this map. And this is, again, the RGEM model showing what looks to be anywhere from 25 or perhaps 30 to 40 millimeters of rain, potentially a bit more across the Avalon Peninsula tomorrow morning. Keep in mind, most of this rain will fall in about a 3 to 6 hour period. So if we see 60 millimeters of rain in a 3 to 6 hour period, that could certainly lead to some isolated flooding. So definitely want to keep that in mind tomorrow morning if you have a basement or a yard that's near a small creek or small stream that is prone to flooding. So as far as the headlines go, it looks like the timing for this is going to be between 2 a.m. and 12 p.m. on Sunday. The peak of it will be between 3 a.m. and 10 a.m. Sunday as far as rain is concerned, and I think the rain may even be between about 3 a.m. and 9 a.m. or 7 a.m. So lots of rain in a short period of time, and the highest wind speed look to occur in a 3-hour period between 6 a.m. and 9 a.m. Sunday morning. On the east side of the Avalon Peninsula and the southeast Avalon Peninsula, they will be sustained between 60 and 90 kilometers per hour, with perhaps some isolated gusts up to 110 or 120 kilometers per hour. I think gusts to 100 kilometers per hour will be common as this does go by Sunday morning. So I hope this gives you a better indication of what we can expect as we do go into tonight and Sunday with Hurricane Gonzalo. I'm not sure if I'll do another weather briefing for you this afternoon. I may, if things change a little bit, or maybe just to give you all an update and make everybody feel a bit more comfortable with the situation. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you have a great weekend. I hope you stay safe during the storm, even though it looks like it's not going to be as bad as it once looked like it could be. Otherwise, have a great day, have a great weekend, and I'll see you on social media today, tonight, at Eddie Shear on Twitter, meteorologist Eddie Shear on Facebook, and I'm back on NTV starting at 5:30 p.m. during First Edition on Monday. Have a great weekend.